From the Opelka Studios in Oklahoma City, you are watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. It's time for our inbox segment. We take your email questions and try to answer them here on video. Send your questions in, you might see yours next week. Let's start with one from Jim. Jim says, I've been a huge Thunder fan from the get-go, but now that I've seen how rough the game has become, I'm questioning whether the game as it is should even be watched. Short of banning Ron Artest from the game, I think I'll just spend my time elsewhere. Wow, this is quite a reaction to what we saw over the weekend in LA, Barry.
Well, Jim, here's what I say. We're going to miss you. I mean, if you got to go, go. I mean, yeah, it was an awful cheap shot, and it was terrible that James Harden had a concussion and missed 2 games, and playoffs was threatened, although he looks like he's going to be back. And, you know, it's unfortunate that Ron Artest only sits out 7 games and is not in the Los Angeles County Jail. All kinds of injustices in the world. But does that mean you go bury your head in the sand? I don't understand this idea that I'm walking away from basketball. James Harden isn't walking away from basketball. Doesn't he have more reason than any of us to be upset by this? So let's not overreact to that. Let's try to maintain some sanity here.
Well, let's think about how many games there are a year and how many times you have guys that get in each other's way. I mean, that's essentially what kind of started this whole thing. James Harden, he's near the basket when Ron Artest comes down after the dunk. He's going to take the inbounds pass, and these 2 guys basically bump. You see that all the time, but you don't see guys react with elbows. So, you know, yes, it was not pretty. Obviously, nobody thought it was. But clearly, this is not a normal course of action. If anybody thinks this is the NBA,
right.
And they're wrong.
That's a great point. This was not a result of physical play. This was the result of a madman.
Yeah, knucklehead. All right, back to the inbox. This one comes from Thomas, another Ron Artest. Ron Artest, or Meta World Peace, or Meta World Chaos, as you like to call him, Barry, could have killed, paralyzed, or gravely injured Mr. Harden. The blow was a blind side cheap shot. 7 games. What the NBA is telling persistent violators like Ron Artest is that you may continue to perform violent acts with little or no real penalty. 7 games is a token penalty.
No, it's not. 7 games, 6 of which are playoff games, is a huge penalty. These guys play all year to set themselves up for the playoffs. Ron Artest is the number 4 Laker in terms of importance. He's a vital member of the Lakers. Now the Lakers go play, it looks like Denver, with no Ron Artest. So this is not a minor penalty. This is a huge penalty. 7 games, 6 playoff games is equivalent to 20 or 25 regular season games, I'd say, maybe more. It's a huge penalty. Don't pretend that this is a token penalty.
Yeah, it is a pretty big penalty. I thought it was going to be 10 games. That was sort of the number I was looking at. But, you know, the fact that they're going to have to play Denver, a team that loves to beat you up and down the court. They've got all sorts of matchup issues. For the Lakers not to have a guy that they really defensively can mix and match around and put on a lot of different guys, I could see them losing this series, Barry. I could see Denver beating LA because it's not, obviously they've still got the bigs, I get that, but it's going to be an interesting series when you don't have that guy that's so good defensively, and he was playing so well. It's a pretty big penalty, although I did think 10 was where they were going to come down. 7's not too far off of that. All right, back to the inbox. This one from Jay. Jay said, did the run-pass mix surprise you at the OSU spring game? It seemed really low to me on the run side. Surely that was by design to get a better feel for how the quarterbacks are progressing on throws, right?
I don't think so. I think it was by design just to sort of keep wraps on the whole process. Mike Gundy was obsessed with not getting anybody hurt. He was obsessed with, you know, a thud scrimmage, which is you hit and don't take down, although they ended up taking down most of the day. But here's the deal. When you run a pass play, you can run the play and see what happens and get a good play in without a ton of hitting. You can't do that with a run game. If you're not going to tackle on the run game, you might as well not run a play. So I think that was more just the kind of scrimmage Gundy wanted is when we saw more passes than runs.
Yeah, and I think some of it too is that they know what they've got in their running backs. I mean, they know Joseph Randle can get a lot of yards. They know Jeremy Smith can get a lot of yards. I mean, obviously we haven't seen the younger guys, Desmond Rowland and Herschel Sims, quite so much, but when you're talking about the 2 guys that are going to get the lion's share of the ball, we already know what they can do, Barry. And they blew plays dead when those two guys were running. So I don't think they were. I mean, you don't really gain anything by running a lot of run plays if you're not going to tackle. So I think that was part of it too. All right, back to the inbox one last time. This one from Craig. Craig says, it's amazing that folks are so upset that Landry Jones came back to Oklahoma. I can understand the fact that they don't want Blake Bell to leave for another school, but that's just weak.
Well, it is weak, and it's silly, and it's stupid. And it is universal. The most popular guy on campus, unless you just won a huge game, backup quarterback.
Yeah.
So Blake Bell's status is secure for at least another year. Next year, if he's the starting quarterback at the Sooners and they lose to Texas, well then somebody else can be the most popular guy on campus. But for now, it's Blake Bell.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, I wrote about this before the OU spring game, and it's fascinating to me that you've got people out there that are frustrated by Landry Jones' return. I wrote right after the Insight Bowl that I knew that there were those people out there. You'd already started to hear from people saying, I don't want him to come back. It was the craziest thing in the world. I wrote as much then. I dove into it a little bit more before the spring game just to get behind some of the psychology of some of the people that were upset about him coming back. I still don't get it. You've got a guy that has started almost 40 games, Barry. That's almost unheard of in college football at any point, much less today. You've got a guy that would have maybe been a first-round draft pick quarterback in your team. I have a hard time believing that's not a good thing for the Sooners.
I think Landry Jones would have went fourth in the draft.
Think about that, Sooner fans. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.